Hi, what up, YouTube? This is No Cap No Filter. I'm your host, Molly G. Back at y'all another episode of Running With You. And today we got to run it about this video I came across with Charleston White. And he's basically talking about how 6ix9ine destroyed Big Bang on the interview that they had together. And 6ix9ine was just basically just picking him apart on all the hip hop hypocrisies and biasness they got going on and picking and choosing when it comes to certain rappers. Let's go ahead on and see what Charleston talking about, man, without further ado. Haven't watched none of this videos, so we're gonna react to it together.
6ix9ine destroyed black hip hop with truth and facts. I showed the hypocrisy of it. But what I just seen the other day, 6ix9ine destroyed our culture. 6ix9ine is a master classman. It's hard to tango with him if you ain't got facts. He's been preparing for this. He's been waiting for this moment to come talk to us and tell the black people, and ain't nobody done it. He's been doing it through streaming. He's been doing it through Flash, but he finally got a big black face like a Charlemagne or a Bank to sit down with and get his lick back. And boy, when I tell you, did he get his lick back? Ooh, not only did he shame the culture, he kind of somewhat embarrassed my boy Banks, man, ran circles around my guy. Because my guy came with honor, integrity, codes, morals, and principles on an entertainment stage and looked it bad. And looked it bad. Did he look unintelligent? No, he didn't. This is what happened, my nigga. And this is what
All right, this is what I think about 6ix9ine, man. If you don't know, man, 6ix9ine had one of the most, biggest hip hop cases when it came to like a Rico, and it was just, everybody was just paying attention to it. And a lot of people felt like, he was going to give people up, despite what people, did to him as far as the kidnapping, as far as, doing what they did to his moms, his girls. At the end of the day, you can't snitch. Like that's the street code, even with the mafia. They don't even snitch on their worst enemies. Like it's just something that you don't do. But at the same time, a lot of people feel like it's no honor amongst thieves. So when it comes to, rappers in this climate right now, getting, having, the cases and stuff right on, in real time on social media and everybody giving opinions, you know, is something that's just constantly keep coming up. And 6ix9ine just feel in his head that he's the first one that everybody just called a snitch to, and nobody ever got called a snitch before him, and nobody ever picked and choose before Thug and all these other people coming out after 6ix9ine. Like the thing about 6ix9ine, got to understand that this stuff been going on. Like they've been having allegations of 50 Cent being snitched. They've been having allegations of T.I. being a snitch. They've been having people saying, "Oh, you picking and choosing when it comes to this guy. You picking and choosing when it comes to that guy." And 6ix9ine just felt like the black community is hopping on him just for the sake of him being Mexican. That is far from true. The black community even blackballed and shunned that one girl, that one guy who sang that song Corvette Corvette with Little Uzi, and many other people. Now, sometimes when it comes to music, if you have good, undeniable music, people will bypass anything. You can look at R. Kelly. You can look at Rick Ross with the CEO. You could look at Lil Wayne kissing baby in the mouth. You could look at, Gunna with saying yes, ma'am. Like if you have good music to the masses, people look to turn the other cheek no matter what you did, you know or if you just a likable person. The thing about 6ix9ine, I do think when it comes to the streaming world and when it comes to the entertainment and media things, like he's very talented. He's very, entertaining. He's very funny. He's very much of a troll. Um, and on the top of that, he knows the business side. He knows how to edit. He knows how to shoot. Like he could do all this stuff on his own. He's like a one-man army. So I give him that. But he keep trying to make it a race thing, like, oh, black people just hopping on him because he's Mexican. No, from jump, people just seen straight through him. Like his music was popular because he was, kind of captivating because he had the rainbow hair, all the colors with the teeth, and he was around some Trey Nine Bloods up there in New York were highly respectable, and everybody was just wondering how he get in ties with them, and everybody could just see straight through him when the table, when the walls was gonna come in, everybody knew he was gonna fold, and people just ain't take him serious. So, and I think, a lot of people just wasn't a fan of his music. Yes, he had some hot beats, but other than that, people just really wasn't a fan of his music because it's not real rap to a lot of people, and I think he don't understand that. Like a lot of people just look at him as, the Mexican goofy kid with these, you know, gang bangers, and he had some hot beats, but it wasn't just gonna last long. So I just think that he getting a lot of stuff confused with his own delusions, and you know, call it a spade a spade. At the end of the day, everybody knew that he wouldn't build for that type of lifestyle, and he's just trying to live off an image with running with a whole group of people and just try to play tough. So let's go ahead on and continue.
I commend Banks for having the courage for one. Step out your comfort zone, make yourself vulnerable, nigga. Because you was very vulnerable. You looked vulnerable up there. The seat had you looking small. You wouldn't step in the water. He was jumping up in the water, so he had the theatrics. So he went in with the theatrics for debate. He and Banks as a street nigga from Atlanta that's got the history that he has, that he's trying to shed and walk away from. This nigga was submerged in the elements of what you think a street nigga should be and would be and is. And he's trying to emerge from that to kind of straddling the fence to transforming into what we would say a media entertainment guy. But all of his friends still street niggas, and he still get phone call from the street niggas saying, "Man, why don't sit with that nigga?" So he still got a little residue that bothers him. So let me stick to what I'm saying. Let me stick to what I'm saying. Follow me. So this street nigga, thoroughbred street nigga, done left the trap of Atlanta and came and sat on a visibly well choreographed. It was a Nickelodeon type set that this street nigga's on. What do you mean by Nickelodeon type set? He lost with the colors. 6ix9ine got all the rainbow colors up there, nigga, with a big ass TV behind it that says facts. And he can put the technology and work it. It got the sound system. They made a.
Now, one thing I will say, I do think when it comes to Gucci, man, when it comes to Young Thug, a lot of these guys, I do think, man, you got to call a spade, man. Ain't no way you sitting down talking to law enforcement for over 2 hours and you not giving up no information, and what Gucci did, he basically just gave his statement on the whole song. So, yes, 6ix9ine is right. People picking and choosing when it comes to the certain person that they like, and that's just life, period. That's not even hip hop. That's life, period. People are gonna be biased to who they take a liking to. People are gonna be biased to their friends. People are gonna be hypocritical to who they liking to and who they consider themselves a friend with. You don't just want to throw them under the bus. You get just put in a rock and a hard place or a pickle. But at the end of the day, certain things you gotta call a spade, and that's where the real people come in. And that's why everybody's so waiting on to see what Boosie was going to say. And that's why the Vlad interview took so long to come out, and Boosie was going to say his thoughts on his own thing. Now, Boosie already kind of said Gucci snitch, but everybody was waiting to see what he was going to talk about with Young Thug. And I feel like Boosie ain't really trying to touch on that with Young Thug because Young Thug is kind of still tapped in with the streets, even though he on probation. They still in the same city. And I just think Boosie then came so far, he don't really want to rock certain boats. But another thing I don't like about 6ix9ine, a lot of people have a problem with him saying the nigga word. And it just they try to shame our culture, but they leech off our culture and want to be a part of the culture and want to be accepted about the culture while at the same time shaming the culture. Not only that, he always disrespect black women, from what I be seeing. Like every time he disrespecting a woman, it's always a black woman. So that's basically another thing 6ix9ine got to understand why a lot of people don't really take a liking to him.
They turned my nigga into a show. They turned Black America, hip hop culture, gangster rap, and one of the one of the faces of what the streets would say Mount Rushmore real nigga in the industry. Banks would be on Mount Rushmore in the real industry. Yeah. They made a show with us yesterday. Bank being a real nigga took on the challenge, but he was out his element. Nigga, he came to 6ix9ine's habitat, his home, nigga, where everything is set up for him to win. Everything.
It shouldn't be him coming to his habitat and everything set up for him to win. If you got a certain code that you live by, you got to keep it 100 all the way through. And that's why I think a lot of people, was losing points with Bank when Thug first got out of jail and he was just coming on this, I'm not a snitch, Gunna and Woody is a snitch tour, like he ain't never do that many interviews before. And then he went to Bank interview and everybody was waiting for Bank to press him, but it was just tap dancing around the situation.
The colors, the lighting, the sitting right in front of the pool with the water, everything is set up for this show to go on and for this guy to look like king. Great performance, Daniel. Great performance. Big Banks, you got to get the cash ready, baby. You got to get the cash ready, Big Banks. And me and you, we got to sit down and have, listen, I ain't trolling or nothing, nigga. Let's have a real serious dialogue. And my question is, at what point does the hood, the obligations and the rules, nigga, release the black man so he can be free? And say, man, I will call the police. I will teach my children to call the police. Never not. And there's under no when can we say, man, mama never do it. Nigga just hit my car, my nigga. He ran and I can't call the police. Do we have to give a reason every time I gotta come on, homie? At what point as a black man can I walk away and don't have that residue in my mind or in my heart that keeps me with a disdain for something? Whether you like me, race it, it has a job to do. Like you have a job to do. Cop and robber. They've always had a mutual respect for one another. Cops have always talked to robbers. Robbers have always talked to cops. What keep the two in business? So, Bank, get the cash ready, nigga. 6ix9ine destroyed black hip hop with truth and facts. I showed the hypocrisy of it. But what I just seen the other day, 6ix9ine destroyed our culture.
Yeah, man. I think when it comes to the culture, I don't think 6ix9ine destroyed anything. I just think the culture just gotta understand that a lot of these people, they say they won't snitch until they in a situation. Like, it's easy to say, man, I won't snitch until you really seeing 25 to life. It's easy to say what you won't do until you in that situation. You know what I'm saying? Like you can only really, you know, validate people if they actually been in a certain situation and you see that they standing on what they believe in. Now I do think a lot of the street politics and stuff, it does keep black people down. I do think that a lot of the morals and ethics is a lot of contradictions in a lot of things, and that's one of the reasons why I never got into the streets.
I need my hair done. I need my nails done.
Then go
So-
get it done. And why is your hair not done? And why are your nails not done? Why do
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I never got into the streets, because I felt like, it's just too many things you got to worry about. You got to worry about jackets, you got to worry about haters, you got to worry about the police, and you got to worry about other dudes probably most likely not going to stick up to a code that, you might stick up to and they not going to stick up to. So it's like, it's just too many ways to lose. But I want to know what y'all think down in the comment section, man. Y'all feel like Charleston White got a point right here? Y'all more so on Bank side, y'all more so on 6ix9ine side. Let me know about how y'all feel about everything that's going on with the culture right now on this top talking point. Until next time, I'm out. Go ahead on and hit the like button if you like the video, and if you're not subscribed, what you waiting on?